this works out. Well, all right. Good afternoon out there in TV land. I don't know who's watching. It doesn't look like anyone else is yet, but people may join. We are broadcasting to our Facebook page, and we are broadcasting as well to our YouTube link. And we just want to welcome you and invite you. Thank you for joining. This is Amplify and Activate. And it's the first time that we're having this very brand new offering. And I'm so excited to invite Kiesha Battles of I Am Yoga, our local Charlotte guru here, and then also Maya Breuer, who's with the Santosha Yoga School, as well as Yoga Alliance. Thank you both for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Jasmine.
And I'm so terrible about these interviews. My name is Jasmine. My friends call me Jazz, and my pronouns are she and they. I'm the founder of Amplify and Activate. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So the topic for today is going to be focused on mentorship, yoga mentorship. Like, how do you know when you found your teacher? So however the earth moves and the spirit moves, can you tell us a little bit about how y'all met?
I'm going to go first. Considering that Maya is the founder of the Women of Color Retreat. She's hosted over 20 retreats over the years. And I found her 9 years ago. So I'll start because I know dates probably like, I don't know when I met her. But when I met Maya, it was at Kripalu, which is in the mountains of Massachusetts. Me and my mother drove up. No, we flew up that year. My husband got us gifts for Mother's Day. Maya, it was Robin Downs. It was Dr. Gail Parker. First time I connected with Dr. Gail. And I feel like it might have been your daughter, Angela. I think it might have been Angela, but that's when I met Maya at the retreat. And I don't want to just, spoil the whole interview, but really the whole mentoring thing, it was during that retreat that I turned to my mother and I said, that's my teacher. That's my teacher. And I had already done a 200-hour. I had been practicing yoga for over 10 years under the Iyengar lineage. And I said, that's my teacher. That is my teacher. And it has been that way ever since. Yes.
Amen.
Love that. And so it was your spirit that spoke to you, Kiesha. Could you say that, or
Spirit slapped me. I share the story all the time. Me and Mom showed up. We had our Lululemon gear on, our yoga mats. We were ready to do like 5,000 chaturangas. And when you enter into the Women of Color Retreat, there's dancing. That's the first thing you do. Maya's shaking her hips. No mats get rolled out until 6 a.m. the next morning. And then that's when Spirit hit me in the face and said, oh, what you've been doing physically, this is something different. And being at Kripalu and feeling that energy and the richness and the history of the land there. Yes. So I got slapped in the face.
Spirit be gangster like that.
I like that. Spirit be gangster. I really like that. Well, for me, of course, I noticed Kiesha, and she kept coming. She kept coming back to the retreat. And I kept looking at her, observing her, and just watching how she supported other people, brought people with her, conducted herself, and was living as a yogini. Like, I got that sense from her. And then my observations said, yes, you're right. And it was a while, because I'm a Taurus, I'm very slow. So I plodded along with my eye on Kiesha. And I don't know how many years, was it 5 years or 4 years? I finally said to her, listen, you have to join me in this. You have got to be a part of this. Because I don't even think I invited you to present. I just brought you in, didn't I?
See, this is where I'm the historian, and I love that. I get to keep the history because it's so rich. It's so rich. So First, it was me and mom coming and bringing people from Charlotte, North Carolina in. Then it was, I kept going to the retreats, and at every retreat, someone would come up to Maya at the end and say, I want to help you with this retreat. People need to know more about this retreat. We can do this with the retreat. So I'd sit back and I'd wait to see all this greatness going on. But then, it just come up in the catalog like normal. So one retreat, I just said to Maya, can I manage your social media page? Just like things, post things. And she was like, okay, girl, here's my password. I don't know, but okay. And then the next year it was, why don't you present with me? And then it was present again. And 3 years ago, she said, hey, I need a partner. And she invited me to be co-director, which I've been honored to do so since then. And I really feel like it's like I was brought in to kind of help with the history. As I was preparing for this, like, it's been a decade that I've been following Maya. So before meeting Maya, I found out about Maya through studies, through research about the Black yogis out in the world. And it was like, I need to go find this person, find this woman who's representing women of color, when I was in a space where, yoga color didn't matter. Like, I was in the Iron Girl world. We didn't think, oh, I'm the only Black person here. We just went to yoga, followed the rules. But then I saw this and it was like, ooh, I got to go to the Mecca. And there's so many parallels as a woman of color, of color dealing in America with addictions, children, marriages. There's so many correlations that I continue to find with me and Maya. When we were last, I think, with Amplify and Activate, she mentioned her grandmother's name, and her grandmother's name is the same as my grandmother. So it's just like, wow, spirit.
Wow.
Yes.
It's
and after
really
like 7 years, I had never heard her say this. And when she said it, it was like, wow. And we were in ancestral theme with Amplify. So yes. But I wasn't always like this. Like she said, I was sitting in the corner. I was just watching. I was like, okay. And me and my mom would be watching. And then eventually I'd speak in the circle a little bit and come out of the circle. And then she was like, you got to write. You got to talk. Come on. Yes.
And, the thing is, what started the yoga retreat for women of color, I went to India to study. And one of my last questions before I left was in a workshop or open session. And I said, how can I bring this to my people? I want to do something back in the States. And the teacher said to me, teach the breath, Maya, teach the breath. So I went about teaching in Rhode Island, where I live. And what kept coming up for me was that all of the issues that I dealt with on the path to yoga, I kept seeing and knowing that people around me struggled with it. Women of color had a hard road to hoe in life. So that's how I started bringing it. And I had to really have to go on bended knee to get Kripalu to accept the program, because they didn't believe we would come. And so when I think about mentoring, I think part of mentoring is to be a power of example. So I did the retreat, and then I became a power of example to people who would see me living my yoga, would see me teaching, would see me giving this yoga to people. And that's how Kiesha came, because she saw me and said, oh, I got to get to her. And when she got to me, I recognized her as my student. And then I recognized her as the person to not only support me, but stand beside me with the yoga retreat for women of color. And then, as you get older, you think of who's going to carry this on. So she filled that role too. When I am ready to sit down and stop, doing this, Kiesha has the mantle and will just carry it forward. The other thing that's really powerful about mentoring is that, especially if there's an age difference, one person can have their hand on this wheel and the other person can have their hand on that wheel. So Kiesha is totally in the wheel of this century. I mean, I'm old school. I just am old school, but I got my foot and my knee and my elbow in this yoga. Not that Kiesha doesn't, but I'm saying that's what I'm spewing that out, feeding that out, you know, and then as with Yoga Alliance, I'm working to see that yoga becomes more inclusive and equitable and accessible to all people, but especially to the BIPOC community. But I think everyone find a mentor. If you're challenged, if you're not feeling what you think you should be feeling, whether it's music or art or yoga or meditation, there is somebody there waiting for you to raise your little hand and say, hey, can you see me over here? I'm brilliant. I'm Kiesha Battles.
And it's amazing what I'm hearing is the power of spirit. When you know, right? And you taking the deliberate action to be in observance, right? What yoga teaches us is to be in observance and to see the leadership quality that Kiesha is showing proven, at least here in Charlotte. Yeah. So for new people that are just kind of entering into yoga and yoga practices, what advice do you have about the balance of practicing and really living your yoga and then finding someone? Is there any kind of timing for that, or what advice would you give for someone new?
Can I go first?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, I think the first thing is you put your toe in the water. You know, and that could be one class, it could be a conversation, but you're in it. You go in very slowly, and there is no right or wrong way to do yoga. Yoga is presented to the world in 8 limbs. So if you are a person who likes to read, you may come in by reading scriptures. If there's another person who's very athletic, very energetic, overweight, wants to trim down, they may come in doing an asana thing. But then there's also the person who needs to calm down. So they do pratyahara, they withdraw their senses. There's dhyana, the meditation. So many people think that you must start at one point and go all through to the end. No, it's the way it is so that you can jump in wherever you are in the moment. And then any practice that you do has to meet you where you are. If you got a lot of time, you may do more. If you have less, you may do less. There's no right or wrong way to do yoga. And once you practice in earnest, it'll come and blossom within you. You know, so that could be one posture a week, one every couple of days, but you're you're into it, and then it'll capture you. You may be 10 years in yoga and still only do a 3-minute practice. It doesn't matter. It's what serves you, what gets your prana flowing, what enables you to connect yourself with the divine, what teaches there's something that rises up within you so you can love yourself. And then there's just respect for self. Yoga is all about self. Not that it doesn't drip off you and touch other people, but it's for you. And when you wake up to that, that's all I have to say.
That's it.
I was rising in you, and I was rising with you. It was awesome.
Girl.
That is it. That is it. And what I want to add to that is exactly it. Yoga can be anything, but find yourself a teacher. Find yourself someone that you could go to, whether you go to them every week, every year. Because I would Mecca to Rhode Island once a year. And that was Spirit. My husband's company was located in her city. That was Spirit. Every year I would get to go. But find yourself a teacher. And the little the shimmy she does, the earrings she, decks me out with, that is the teacher I need. So find yourself a teacher. She wasn't my first teacher. She's not my only teacher, but she is the teacher I go to when I definitely need to get in line with my practice. So definitely have a teacher.
And I like what you're saying there too, Kiesha. Of course, you can have more than one teacher, and that's fine too. But I've always been in observance of the relationship that you carry with Maya, which seems like a very special relationship.
it is awesome. Similar to like those of you that know me, I have a relationship with my mother in yoga. So it's like this family that I found through Maya, through the Black Yoga Teacher Alliance. Like, you're my cousin, you know, all of that. It's like become a family of a community. So that's what I embrace out of it. It's like my bhakti in the yoga, right? It brings the juice, the tippy toe-ness of it, the dance in it. So that's what I really, really appreciate and I'm grateful for. Yeah.
And I also appreciate being in observance. Maya, you mentioned this earlier about transference and legacy and leaving your legacy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, whose legacy have you picked up and are in the work that you've done are now passing on to Kiesha? Who are your mentors?
Well, I can say that there was not a person in human form, because when I came to yoga, I really didn't see anybody who was a leader for me. You know, I had deep connection to you know, some of the ancient teachers. And I, it could be, you know, that I just was so moved by how it impacted my life that I just took off and said, oh, well, I got to do this. I got to do that. And through the journey, I've had wonderful teachers, but I always fall back to the ancient texts, to you know, right from Lord Shiva, who says yoga is a fragrance. So it caught me, and I was like, oh yes, this is what I need. And but I've had wonderful not mentors, but people who I respected, like Krishna Kaur. You know, she's a wonderful yoga teacher. And then there are just so many, you know, people I've either been walking in step with or one step just a little bit behind. Krishna would be one that I was behind, because I came to her when she had the International Association of Black Yoga Teachers, and I was just mesmerized by her chanting and her teaching and her worldliness. You know, that gave me encouragement that if I got myself fully into this, I didn't have to stop being me. You know, I didn't have to stop being me, but I think I was just trying to push doors open and kick doors. But I guess if I said anyone, it would be Krishna Kaur, you know, that I learned of her, and that inspired me.
Awesome. Well, it's such a blessing to see a creator, a founder, someone who was looking out for us in your creation of the Women of Color retreat, trailblazer. Just love it. So many of us love and admire you. I went to my very first retreat was with Octavia Rahim, who could not stop talking about my teacher Maya. So it's always an honor to meet you in that way.
Thank you, Jazz.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your experience. Or more specifically, I want to give some time, because we're here for 30 minutes. I want to give more time about the context of what you're seeing now because of the multiple pandemics, and how the Yoga of Women of Color retreat is helping and aiding people in getting through these tough times.
Go ahead, Kiesha.
Great question, Jasmine. We recently had our first virtual retreat online in December with the pandemic. We had 2 live retreats. Of course, Kripalu, the center, closed down, but we had a retreat in December that created a great virtual space. We actually didn't think that we could pull off the energy that we do when we're in person, but it really was a phenomenal experience for everyone involved. Maya's been doing the yoga retreat for women of color for over 20 years. And we did have this one retreat in December, but the main work that Maya has been doing, as well as myself, with Ivy Child, the Santosha School of Yoga is evolving the yoga retreat for women of color into the healing retreat for people of color. And this is a partnership that we've connected with Sound True. It's a free offering to all BIPOC. It is open to others to donate. It's a monthly retreat where we're bringing fabulous presenters, speakers, artists to bring healing to our community. So that's where I kind of want to shift more attention to, because we do have a retreat coming up next weekend where it expands beyond just the woman and into all yogis of color. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, these things are like this healing retreat for people of color is a dream that I had, you know, that I remember years ago, we had this man who had come with his wife and he really wanted to be a part of it. And of course I was weak. I let him in. And because, you know, he was there at Kripalu is more white than anything, you know, so we took him in, but that started me thinking there must be something for all of us. I can't just, although I think women need a lot of support, but our men need a lot of support. And particularly during this time with the killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and I can't say the other man's name, but there's so many more than those three I was thinking of. But Black men can't walk safely through this United States. You know, so I want this retreat to be their Mecca. You know, this is the place they can come to. And right now we're virtual, but I also have a very open connection to Kripalu, and we're going to do this in person when, you know, everything gets under control with regard to the pandemic. But anyway, I'm excited that we have it. It's on Sunday. It starts at 12 o'clock. And it's with Sounds True is our platform. And is there anything else they need to know about how to register?
You said it's Sunday?
Sunday at 12 o'clock. It's next Sunday. It's not this Sunday, right?
The first Sunday of the month. So the retreat is the first Sunday of the month, every month, unless there's a holiday. And I guess to specifically go back to your original question, Jasmine, about how it's helping. So for example, presenters we have coming up in February are Reggie Hubbard, who does a lot in the space of yoga, social justice. And he's a Prince fan like me. He had an awesome Prince class. You guys got to check Reggie out. We have Satajala, who's going to give us some soca rhythm, some movement. You know, we got Dr. Gail Parker bringing restorative yoga, race-based trauma. And then Maya, the last presenter, George Mumford.
George Mumford, yes.
Yes.
And he's from Boston, Mass. And he was Kobe Bryant's yoga teacher, and he's a sports teacher. But he talks about forgiveness. He's also a mindfulness teacher and a terrific addition to, you know, we haven't had a sports yogi with us, but now we've got someone. So that's exciting.
So I have a healing retreat for people of color is every first Sunday of the month.
Yes,
correct.
And the next one will be on February 7th.
Yes.
What time is it and where do people go?
It is 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you go to Sounds True Foundation, you'll find a link there. You could also visit ivychild.org, one of our partners. You can visit the Santosha School of Yoga. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, message me directly. I'll get you connected to where you need to be. When you sign up the first time for the retreat, it keeps you in the loop the entire year. So if you can't join us in February, look out for what's coming up in March.
Great. And then last but not least, we Amplify and Activate. Appreciate y'all doing that work to expand and make room for more people to experience healing and community. So thank you for making that offering. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Amplify and Activate has new programming coming up, and we're so excited. We did host the 4th annual Let Spirit Lead Summit was the theme. And we were so happy to have Maya present Care of the Soul. Maya, can you describe to our audience what Care of the Soul is? We'll be rebroadcasting that on February the 12th. And it'll be from 6 to 9, and folks can just come watch your presentation specifically, and then we'll make space for a deeper dive in the community. But can you just give our audience a little...
Care of the Soul is really taken from a book by Thomas More, and it's titled Care of the Soul. But the idea, I learned to care for myself. I learned about being artistic, being joyful, being spiritual. I learned that I could be all of those things, and I would be better off for it. I talked during that presentation about my health being challenged, having issues, as many of us do within our family, and then getting help and learning about all these various ways I could express myself. And this I juxtapose against what I learned when I went to yoga, and that there are actual tenets and practices in yoga that support joy, balance, wellness, dance, art, whatever. It's all there. So Care of the Soul leads you from the exterior of my life into my life, and then right up to what yoga has taught me and is available for everyone.
So it sounds like it's how the book plays out in your life, or has played out in your life, and how it's applicable to you.
Well, it's exactly like I mentioned the book because Thomas More talks about, how it's important to have that balance between your artistic self and your expressive self and your, whatever you are, let it all be out there. You cannot just try to be perfect or walk a certain path. Then when I got to the path of yoga, I found those same things in specific tenets of yoga or teachings of yoga. So Care of the Soul brings you to those tenets, which are so easy to integrate into your daily life.
Yes, lovely. Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome.
Jasmine, can I add a little bit onto that? For those of you that do follow me and you always hear me talk about Kriya Yoga, I practice Kriya Yoga. That's the teachings that Maya shares through Care of the Soul. So for my yogis, my teachers, this is Kriya Yoga. So definitely please come and listen.
Well, I appreciate both of you so much. And again, that rebroadcast will happen at 6 o'clock on Friday, February 12th. You can go to our website at www.amplifyandactivate and just click on Sangha to see more. And it is donation. So we have donation levels for you to be able to just feed community so we can have more offerings like this. Both of you have been so delightful, and I see some comments here, people joining us, that this has been important.
Hey, Danielle.
Shout out to folks out there watching us, and this has been really great. For closing, is there anything that y'all want to leave our audience? Any information you want to share?
I'll say one thing. It's very important to be aware of your breath. It's just the way I was told in India, teach the breath. And it's important to breathe, not just breathe willy-nilly, but breathe consciously. Focus on taking a breath in and letting a breath go. This will help us to deal with all of the various and sundry diseases that impact people of color because of the challenge of our lives in these United States and other parts of the world also, but particularly here. Diabetes, obesity, hypertension, stroke, heart disease. The breath can help you to get stronger and healthier.
Thank you. Thank you. Kiesha?
I'll give the plug. Join Maya for her Unity in Yoga podcast through Yoga Alliance. You'll get to hear more of Maya's richness as well as a bunch of phenomenal guests. Definitely support Amplify and Activate. I am a board member and appreciate everyone's efforts in being here today. Like us on Instagram, you can follow Ivy Child, you can follow Maya.Breuer, you can follow IAMYOGACLT. But get some of this richness, this goodness, while it's virtual, while it's accessible, while it's almost pretty much free. You know how much I invested in mentorship and traveling to see this woman. So definitely, please get a little tippy toe,
Amen.
Well, thank y'all again so much for your time, for your investment, for your leadership, for your love, for sharing your whole self with the community and being so powerful in doing so. We love and appreciate both of you so very much.
Namaste. Thank you.
Take care. Namaste.
God bless.
Mm-hmm.
Be well.